This is truly a landmark day for Atlantic City and the beginning of its transformation. I just signed Senate Bill 11 and Senate Bill 12. Senate Bill 11 establishes a tourism district here in Atlantic City that will be run by the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority, that will merge other agencies that have been involved in Atlantic City before into CRDA. We'll establish a tourism safety district that will be run by the New Jersey State Police in conjunction with the Attorney General's office, the County of Atlantic, and the City of Atlantic City. And that also in Senate Bill 12 sets up an entire re-regulation of Atlantic City's gaming industry to be in compliance with what the state of the art is for regulation across the country, that will save tens of millions of dollars for the industry that will then be reinvested in Atlantic City. In addition, the history of CREDA sending money that's generated in Atlantic City all over the state of New Jersey, in my view, a sad history is over. Money generated in Atlantic City will stay in Atlantic City. Atlantic City will, once again, in the establishment in Senate Bill 11 of a public-private partnership with the casino licensees here in Atlantic City to really market Atlantic City in a first-class and professional way, the way it should be marketed, and the way that will lead to a transformation of this city into what it, in my view, should have always been, a vacation and convention center for the world. And that's what we're going to begin to do beginning after today. We're also here in this building because what it shows you is when Republicans and Democrats work together to put the interests of the people they serve first and all other concerns second, that you can in fact give inspiration to private industry that this is a place worth investing in once again. And so I want to thank the Senate President first and foremost for his leadership. He has stewarded this legislation with the help of a number of other folks through the legislature, but I want to thank Steve Sweeney for his leadership and his partnership on this. I also want to thank John Berzicelli and Vince Palestina in the Assembly for their hard work. I want to thank Senator Whalen for his hard work as well in making this come together. This has been a truly bipartisan effort, and there have been many other people involved with it as well. So I want to thank all of them. Beside this legislation, we are also standing at Revel this morning because beginning, I believe, at the end of next week, construction will begin again on this site and Revel will be completed. This will not only create thousands of jobs for the working men and women of South Jersey, but it will also give a boost of confidence to everyone in this city and in this region who believed that this couldn't be done. 6 months ago, I stood on the Boardwalk and said that we were going to go about, by the end of the year, in transforming Atlantic City into this new entity that we're creating today. Well, it was 6 months and 10 days. So we came 10 days over. But I'm a little upset about that, but I'll try to get over it. But what we have now is with Kevin DeSanctis and his group that are running the Revel project, we will be able at the end of next week to say that all of the financing for this project will be in place. And the state is playing a role in this, so let me explain the role the state is playing. There's $1.155 billion in private financing that will be used to complete the project that you are sitting in right now. This morning, the Economic Development Authority, about 15 minutes ago, approved $261 million in ERG funding for this project. That represents about 8% of the total tax revenue that'll be generated for the state of New Jersey in this project. And all of the money will be used to improve and enhance infrastructure around this project. And so Kevin and his group have put together the financing to finish the building, and the state is stepping up to the plate to do what we need to do to make sure that the infrastructure around this place is as best as it can be so that it can lead to even greater success once the building opens, and we're anticipating an opening of Revel in June of 2012. This, I think, shows you what can be done when we all work together. Labor is here today and has been incredibly supportive. And Bill and all the guys from the State Building and Construction Trades Council, I want to thank you for your support of this and your hard work. I want to thank my staff as well. They have worked extraordinarily hard with the people at J.P. Morgan and Morgan Stanley to convince them that the state sees this as a priority, that the state sees South Jersey as a priority, and that the state will put its efforts and its credibility and its money where its mouth is when we're doing this. And my Chief of Staff, Rich Bagger, Counsel's Office, and Chief Counsel Jeff Chiesa, the two of them have worked extraordinarily hard to get this done, along with Assistant Counsel Craig Domaluski. I want to thank those three guys. They worked extraordinarily hard to get this done. Finally, Karen Franzini at the EDA. Everybody who works with the EDA realizes what an incredible asset Karen is to economic development in this state. She has worked very hard on this ERG piece of the project, along with the Lieutenant Governor, to make sure that it got done. It got done in a timely fashion. And the last thing about that is we have put forward a policy that EDA adopted this morning as now a firm policy of the state, that any ERG financing over $50 million must involve the state of New Jersey getting a piece of the ownership of that project. We're starting with this project. We are now, the state of New Jersey is 20% partners with Kevin DeSanctis in the upside of this project. And so the taxpayers need to understand, not only are we creating jobs with the finance we're doing, not only do we fully anticipate that it will work out extraordinarily well for the state economically, but when Revel is the success I know it will be, the taxpayers of the state of New Jersey will participate in the success of that. That's a policy I've been for a long time, and we're instituting it now. And all projects going forward over $50 million in this type of financing, the state will require that they become partners in the upside in those projects. The taxpayers are putting forward their investment in this, and they deserve the opportunity to share in the success of these projects as well. And so where do we go from here? We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work still to do, but we now have the tools to be able to get this work done. We will be working hard with the members of the legislature, with the county executive, Denny Levinson, and with the people of the city of Atlantic City to make sure that the right people get put in place to run CREDA and to make it the type of agency that it needs to be to provide the supervision and the leadership that will be necessary in Atlantic City going forward. And it's a good moment for me to thank the county executive. He's been talking to me about this since I began running for governor in February of 2009. He has been a clear and strong voice in my ear about what needed to be done and what needed to be changed around here. And while no two people ever agree on every aspect of something, and certainly for those of you who know Denny, he doesn't agree with everybody about anything. Denny and I have worked really hard together to make sure that Atlantic City and Atlantic County get the attention it deserves and turn this place around. And I could not have come up with some of the ideas that we have here without Denny's support and leadership, and he's going to be participating as we go forward. Lastly, before I introduce the Senate President for some comments, and then I'll come back to take questions. The one person who's not here because business has taken him out of state today, who has been integral to this process, is John Hanson. John took on this responsibility for me last winter. He worked extraordinarily hard with the other members of his commission to come up with this plan. When it was announced, there were some people who were skeptical about whether it could work or whether it could be done politically. John continued to make himself available not only to the political leaders in the state, but to business leaders here in Atlantic City, in New York City, and all the places we needed to go to make sure that the financing for Revel was done the way it needed to be done, to make sure the EDA got involved. John Hanson, completely on a volunteer basis, completely because he loves this state and cares deeply about its continued economic growth, has spent the overwhelming majority of his time over the last year, and his wife was informing me of this around the holidays and reminding me that he spent the majority of his time over the last year on these projects. And it's unfortunate that John can't be here today, but I did not want the day to go by without saying that this all was possible because John Hanson took the bull by the horns and helped to give direction. It's what I thought he would do when I asked him to do this last February, and a year later, we are making real progress. So I want to thank John Hanson as well for the great work that he did. So I want to introduce the Senate President for some remarks, Senator Sweeney, and then I'll come back to the podium and we'll be available to answer questions. So this, like I said right off the top, this could not have been done without the Senate President and I sitting in a room, deciding how we were going to be able to work the legislation to be able to make it fair and equitable to everybody involved. And he cares deeply not only about the future of Atlantic City, but also about revitalizing our state's economy and creating jobs. That's what we're doing here today, and we're doing it in a bipartisan way to make sure that everybody benefits from what's going to happen on this site. So I want to introduce my partner in the state Senate, the Senate President, Steve Sweeney.